Well, hello my loves and happy Sunday to you. So today is our color collage paper challenge and we are continuing to work our way through, not all the way through, but through Simone Lenahan's book, The Artist Color Inspiration. And this one's from Vintage Fabric, which is why I chose it. And so I was unsure about the color palette. There was a color that I just did not like, but the two main colors together were actually fantastic. Before we dive in and I share with you what supplies I used, I just want to remind you that today you have 1 day left to sign up for Rusty Bits at the early bird pricing. If you would like to check that out, I'll have the link below in the YouTube description box, and also the link for all the supplies and everything that I use in today's video. Today's stencils will be on sale that I used in this project this week, and that is really all I have for you. Okay, so this is our color palette. This one, I'll do this one right here. This was not any inspiration to me whatsoever. And this blue, I just was like, oh no. That's blue in general is not my favorite color. And like this light blue is even worse. But look at how amazing the two main colors. I mean, really, honestly, that's the only color with all the rest being neutrals. But look at how great they look together. And I just so happen to have some collage papers in these colors, believe it or not. Like this was like the blues were a little off, but close enough that they worked. All of them were close enough that they worked because I was going to do additional color over the top. And the goal for this challenge is to use my enormous amount of collage paper. So I'm not allowed to make any new collage paper for creating. I use what I have, and it always ends up working out well. So let's talk, and the point of this challenge too is to introduce me to new color palettes and color mixing. And so they were actually very simple to create. This color here, the blue, I went with cerulean blue, and I added a touch of white gesso, and then a touch of Payne's gray, because it was coming out too like bright blue, like light, like this was the first color, this really bright blue. And once I added a touch of that Payne's gray, it was perfect. I tried to mix just the Payne's gray and gesso, and it's too gray. So it needs that cerulean blue color. So cerulean blue, Payne's gray, and some gesso for our blue. Not difficult at all. And then this one is really, honestly, this is raw sienna. And this is a little bit dirtier version of raw sienna. This is a little brighter. So I added raw sienna. I did raw sienna, and this would have worked okay. But I dirtied it up a little bit and added a little bit of raw umber to it to give it kind of that brown, black, gray undertone. And that color right there is really, really yummy. Both of those. I love raw sienna. So plain raw sienna and then raw sienna with a touch of raw umber. Then for our tans here, this is raw sienna or raw umber with unbleached titanium. So this is my raw umber. I use Golden So Flat. All my paints are matte because I usually do writing and different, pastel, charcoal, and all that. So that's why I use matte. But this color here is raw umber with unbleached titanium. And that's the darker color. And I probably could have gone a little bit lighter, because I did a couple little swatches here, and this one was a little bit lighter, but this one worked okay. It was okay. Then the second one was close. I needed to make it a little bit lighter. But I just kept adding gesso and adding gesso to get to the hues that I wanted. And then for the very light, this is not white. It's like a cream. I probably could have used my cottage white color. I think that's this one, cottage white. And it would have been fine, but I wanted to mix the color. Especially I wanted to use the raw umber because that's kind of a base in all of our colors. So that makes it a little bit more harmonious. So I used unbleached titanium and gesso. And I just kept adding gesso to this to get to this color. And it worked perfectly. It was a perfect color mix. So that's the color mixing that I did. And then I pulled my papers and I pulled a bunch of neutrals for the background. And they were all scraps. And then I went to town putting it all together. Now, I did use 2 stencils. This one for this pattern here, which was perfect. And then my other stencil is the Grateful stencil. What did I do with it? I just had it. Oh, I have an uppercase and a lowercase. And so I use the uppercase G and the lowercase. So these 2 stencils are going to be on sale for you this week. And so I stenciled that out, and then I used this is becoming one of my favorite tools. This was an experiment. This is a water brush pen that you use for like watercolors and different things like that, but I put carbon black acrylic ink in it, and it writes beautifully, and it works so great. I used a black or brownish charcoal pencil and my General's charcoal pencil, extra soft. This is a soft pastel pencil. And that's really it. And my collage paper, super simple. I love how, you know what else I did use? I used a black soft pastel stick, and I've been using this makeup sponge to get into this edge of the journal page so that I can shade all the way around it. And so I use that. It's very handy. And that is it for this project. Super simple, super easy. So I can't wait for you. And I love, especially in the community, whether it's the subscriber library or the membership community, because I do this for the members as well. I love seeing what you come up with in your own designs and your own color mixing. So if you are not part of the library community or all workshops community, I hope that you pop over there and share what you create. It makes my heart happy to see it. So anyway, but our word for this is our second to last. We've got one more. We've done one every month for the year. I can't believe it. But the word for this month was gratitude. And I chose that because it's Thanksgiving, and not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, but if you do, I wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving. But even if you don't, gratitude is always a place to land. When things feel heavy, when things feel crazy, when schedules are busy, when families are getting together, finding one thing to be grateful for in the moment, or in the day, or in the week, will help us find our joy in the season. And sometimes it feels as if there isn't a whole lot to be grateful for, but there is. There always is. And it's usually the smallest things. A smile, a hug, a phone call, FaceTime, a journal page, art supplies. It's a small thing, but when we can focus on what we're grateful for, joy rises within us and around us. So I hope you focus on the gratitude part as well as the color mixing and all that, but mainly the gratitude part. I hope that if you celebrate Thanksgiving, that you have a day filled with gratitude and love And even if you have to do that for yourself. All right, my loves, I hope your Sunday is restful and peaceful. I hope you have fun playing with this. And I hope that you always, always know that you are loved. Okay, so I am just putting out my fluid matte medium, and I am wetting my papers so that they go down flat because I've got a lot of papers to go down. I am just using my scraps, like I said, and I'm not really thinking about placement at this point. I'm just worried about, not worried, I'm just trying to get them flatter than I typically would, which is why I use the water. So now that I've got them down, I did try to space them out as far as, darker background, lighter background. But now I want to kind of break up some of the, like that one piece of collage paper is very large. And so I want to kind of break it up with a little bit of some other. Same thing over here. So once I've got all those collage papers down, I'm starting with the lightest color that we mixed to kind of push everything back and neutralize the background. Not eliminating the background, just neutralizing. So I just put some down and I'm using my rag to kind of fan it out. Then I'm coming in with the next darker color of the kind of neutral beige colors, just because it needs variety. You want some lights and darks, and this is just gesso that I was putting down. And because you want that variation, it gives your background interest. And then coming back in with more of that neutral, the lightest neutral color. Now that I've got that down and dry, I'm going to come back in with my collage paper. And what I'm doing is I'm creating these vignettes in the corners, kind of grouping them together so that they feel connected, and that I don't have just these bits and pieces kind of all over the place, but they feel somewhat like a composition, and that's why I call them vignettes. I am wetting these as well, including the tissue paper. It helps it go a little bit more transparent. And I'm taking the color all the way to the top to the bottom. And while my colors for the collage papers aren't exactly the color of my color palette, they're a variation of it. They're a darker or lighter value. And value change is really important in your projects, in your journal pages, in anything, to give it more interest. So I can take the base color and add white to it, or the beige colors, and change the value of it, make it lighter or darker, and it makes it more interesting. And I'm just putting those colors down and smushing them out with my fingers. I dried that real quick, and then I came back in and mixed my blue. And it took me a second to get back to I needed to add more white and more raw umber to it, so that it wasn't that like, wow, bright light blue. And then I'm just, it's a little bit watered down, and I'm taking my brush and just kind of making this squiggly line all the way across from top to bottom, side to side. And then I'll come back in and pounce it out, soften it up. Because like right now, it's too thick. It's completely eliminating the background, and that's not what I want. I want to push it back, but I want the papers underneath, which give it character and interest, depth. So I continue to eliminate, parts. Not, I don't have to have it all exactly light, but parts of it, I prefer to do that. So I've got my towel, put my towel down, and this is a perfect way to lighten something up. Now I've got another value change happening here. I added more raw umber to that blue mixture. And again, this adds depth. It adds interest. And again, smushing that out and picking it up. And then I was like, I want to use that stencil, but I don't want to take away any more of what I have down because I like it so much. So I did a reverse stencil. And that was the ticket. That was perfect because it allowed me to put that darker blue down and yet not pull up all of the paint. I was doing a test in the corner down here of some raw umber, and it was too dark, so I went to a kind of a taupey color later. But while that's drying, I put my flowers down that I cut. This was just a practice page that I had in my stash that was perfect. And wetting them and putting them down. And coming back in with some of that darker. All those layers, all those value changes make your projects interesting. Gives it depth. And you'll notice that the closer I get to the top layers, the smaller my movements are. Tiny bits of paint here and there. And in some areas it felt a little too dark, so I just dipped my fingers in water and picked it up. Adding a little bit of raw umber now on the edges, softly. And that raw umber color is throughout all of our colors, so it makes the piece harmonious. And bringing back more light. You need the darks and the light. You need that contrast for balance and interest. And I have not dried my piece since I put my flowers down. I'm just continuing to work. And these are light layers, so I'm not obscuring the background. Spritzing this with water and laying my towel down and pressing it out. And that will soften everything. Leave little speckly marks. And give it that kind of worn, aged feel. Now I've got a piece of tissue paper out here, and I'm going to stencil out my word. I'm using a makeup sponge and some black gesso. This is one of the best ways to get writing onto your page or project, because you can stencil it out, cut it out, put it down, and if you don't like it, you take it right up and nothing is harmed. And I'm known for misspelling things, so if you get something not quite right, you haven't ruined your piece or anything, you just re-stencil it. I did get that dry a little bit before I wet it and put it down. And pressing it out helps it adhere to the surface so that it is more transparent. Now I'm just coming back over my flowers with my General's charcoal pencil because I needed them to be bolder. I needed them to be the star of the show and be darker. I'm going to come back in with just a few like shading marks, just to give, so that it doesn't feel so flat, that it gives it some dimension. Using my brush pen to kind of fill in the gaps of the stenciling part, to connect all the letters. And then I'll come back and shade underneath it just to give it a little bit of weight, a little bit of depth, kind of pulls it away from the background. And those little extra bits of shading on the flowers really helps them stand out. And now I'm going to write, my thoughts about gratitude and what I'm grateful for. I don't want to take away all of the color that's on the flowers because the color is so beautiful, but I did want to add a little bit of character to them, give them some highs and lows so they didn't feel quite so flat. And this is the lightest color that we mixed and used. And then this is the raw sienna with a little bit of raw umber in it. And I want these layers to be soft. So I'm just kind of rubbing them out just a little bit. I don't want them to feel too perfect because the beauty of these flowers was the kind of unexpectedness of them. And now I will shade my edges and add any additional final marks. And this page came together beautifully. It was such a surprise color palette. It just reminds me that we need to stay open and continually explore everything, try everything. We never know what will find us in the season that we're in and that what we might love. All right, my loves, I hope you enjoy the project, and I will see you next week.